بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا وخليلنا محمد صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers, elders, sisters, youngsters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Imagine our thawab right now in this cold night, and it's very cold outside, even though the heaters are on and still feed and brothers are freezing. I would say they're very cold. So imagine the thawab of dedicating few minutes, I would say a few minutes to learn about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially one of the main pillars of Islam, which is zakat. So I'm going to make this, because the thing is, we want 5% of your wealth to the poor because Allah told you to do so. In return, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grows your wealth. Similarly, you become praiseworthy. Maybe praiseworthy in the dunya for sure, because you're following the obligation of Allah, but you become praiseworthy in the skies. So this is why zakat is called zakat. The shar'i definition, the technical meaning of zakat is to give tamlik. Tamlik means to give the ownership. To give a fixed amount, specified wealth, and zakatable goods. Not everything is zakatable. And there's things that are zakatable, that zakat, and also in fixed amount, fixed percentage of that, given to a faqir Muslim, to a Muslim. Shart is Muslim, not non-Muslim. Muslim. Zakat is only exclusive for Muslims. You can give donations and other stuff to non-Muslims, but zakat is exclusive for believers and Muslims. Faqir, they have to be poor. This is pretty much our entire zakat. 2.5% of zakat. But the thing we have to understand is zakatable goods. What are zakatable assets? Now, this is something that we need to understand. And then the remaining is easy. 2.5% of that. And who do you give it to? You give it to a poor Muslim. Khalas. It's a pillar of Islam, as we know, became fard in second hijrah. So then we did seerah. And in the entire seerah of Meccan period, we didn't see the hukum of zakat yet, with all of its details and it becoming fard. That happens in Medina Munawwara in the second year when they migrated. So taqriban 18 months after. And then here's in hadith, there's so many hadith, so many ayat. Just one hadith, Inna Allah qad farada alayhim sadaqah. Tell them that Allah made sadaqah fard. Sadaqah over here means zakat. Sadaqah is two types. The necessary sadaqah, which is zakat, and then sadaqah that we know of in our context, which should be taken from the rich ones, min aghniyaihim, wa turaddu fi fuqara'ihim, which must be given back to the poor people. If people establish zakat properly, including Muslims and billionaires and millionaires, top and multi-millionaires, then you will see very less poverty in the world. If the top 10 rich or the top 3 richest people, they give zakat 2.5% of their billions and billions of dollars, then they can end pretty much poverty in many of these countries. This is the hikmat, the wisdom behind zakat. We can't go into all this aqli and the wisdoms behind it. Here's a warning, just for us to be cautious. Give zakat properly. Don't play around with your zakat. Allah says those who hoard their wealth, dhahab and fidda, gold and silver, and they hoard it, but they don't give zakat. Spend it means give them the glad. Look, good news is rhetorical way of speaking. It's not bad news, but and you didn't give fulfill right, and also say ibadah, worshiping me by feeding the poor person. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Give them the glad tidings of عَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Painful punishment. What is this? يَوْمَ يُحْمَى عَلَيْهَا فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمٍ. On that day, the wealth will be heated up in the fire of Jahannam. Then فَتُكْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ وَجُنُوبُهُمْ وَظُهُورُهُم. Then their foreheads and their sides and their back shall be branded with it. And with the fire. Whatever it is, whether it's gold and whatever have you. And then imagine this punishment. هَذَا مَا كَنَزْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ. This is what you had accumulated for yourselves. You didn't give the haqq of it. So taste. فَذُوقُوا ajib. Word is all rhetorical way of speaking to give more power and punishment that Allah is mentioning here. So then taste what you used to hoard. Here's the you might as well give extra zakat. Then don't waste decrease zakat. Look for ways to give even kids some I mean, they're non-baligh. Have these here versus people back home, or versus you go to Pakistan and people are suffering over there also. Many other. Who needs to give zakat? Muslim. Aqil means sane, right? He's not insane. If he's insane, then there's no zakat due. An adult, owner of baligh. Nisab. To what is nisab? Nisab is zakat. Minimum means minimum amount. In Urdu, Pashto we say the nisab for this. Nisab means the minimum amount. One must have for him zakat. If you don't have zakat, be of zakatable wealth. Let's say he has this zakatable because it's not. Say they're worth 1,000. This is not zakatable. What is zakatable wealth? We'll talk about that in the upcoming slides. And then one condition is 1 lunar year, not solar year, lunar year. Usually we count from Ramadan to Ramadan, it's easy. And when Sha'ban is gone, Ramadan comes, zakat is due. 1 Ramadan, it's easy for us to count from Ramadan to Ramadan. And then I tell people, if you don't know which year you became a possessor of nisab, then you just assume it's from Ramadan. Unless you know which month exactly you became nisab, the possessor of nisab. Now the question is, what is zakatable goods? Zakatable assets and wealth. Shariat has said gold and silver. And anything like gold and silver, which refers to paper currency, which refers to coins, which we call fulus, and then which also refers to crypto, which is also refers to money in bank, and etc. And the gold and silver and money, pretty much. Gold and silver and money. This is zakatable asset. So you have to be careful, or you have to memorize this point over here. Then you have anything for business. Anything for business. Business. Want to sell it, this becomes a zakatable asset. I have to, where you get the value and you make this part of your zakatable assets and you give 2.5%. But if I purchase this for my personal need, or just, I like laptops, I have 10 of them, but it's not for business, then it's not, I don't have to give. So it's either gold, silver, because you share in a company, that's business, as well as 401k accounts. These are investments. So you have to gather the fourth culture, animals. That's, and if people have goats, how much zakat to give of them. But this is something not relevant to us, so I will not do this. So zakatable wealth. Again, gold, silver, money, cash, business stock, anything for business and sale, as well that we do, business investments for our to grow. Then here's a few things. There's anything besides here. I have all these books in my house. I have 5 shelves of, let's say, books, or I have 5 Al-Baqi full of books. I buy 5 bookshelves. So many books, probably over hundreds, and probably worth $20,000 if I sell them all. But they're not there for sale. They're not there for business. Nor is it money, cash. Nor is it for okay. Nor is it crypto. Nor is it silver. So I don't have to give nothing on that. It's not zakatable. It's not zakatable. So let me give a few examples of it. You have jewelry besides gold and silver, metal a person has besides gold and silver. Properties. So property that is not their short-term investment. For example, we buy properties to immediately sell. House flipping property, sit in 2 months and then sell it for a higher price. That becomes a business stock, right? It's more like business. Then that's zakatable asset. Like you have to give, when you're giving zakat, even though you didn't sell that property, you have to take the price of that property and add it to your zakatable wealth. But if you have long-term investment for, which most of us do, so we can have the monthly income coming from, or we put it up, we give it off for rent, then that is not zakatable as the property itself is not zakatable, but the money you get from it monthly, that's zakatable. So when at the end of your year, let's say Ramadan comes, I had from this property that I didn't buy for short-term investment that I can sell it immediately, but I purchased it for long-term. Maybe down the line I'll sell it. That's in everyone's mind, but immediately it's for me to make monthly income from it. Now, if the income remains, you give zakat. It's part of cash. If the income doesn't remain, you spend it. No problem. There's no zakat on it. You guys understood that point? So this is not zakatable assets. Household appliances. You got cooking appliances. You got even. So there's two things here. One is basic needs. Anything that you have that is within your basic needs. Whatever extra zakatable wealth that you have has to be beyond your basic needs. And then beyond your basic needs, you have household appliances like and couches. It's not a need. And then let's say $10,000 zakat on that. Is it gold? Is it silver? Is it cash? Is it crypto? Is it business? It's not for business, so I don't give zakat on that. Household appliances, electronic appliances, you don't give zakat on that. Cars and vehicles. I have, let's say, 5 cars. One is for need, the remaining are for luxury. I just drive them around, BMW, pull up with the masjid, next day to another car, take another car. But those cars, is it gold? Is it cash? Is it money? It's not money. Is it 401k? Is it stocks? Or is it for business? No. So they're not zakatable. What about if my extra 4 cars are for business? Then they are zakatable assets. I purchase them with the intention to sell them, then they're business. But if I purchase them for luxury, just for my kids and my family and my wife, then you don't give zakat on them. Even though later on you end up selling them, then you get the money and you make that part of your zakatable assets. But when you're giving zakats on the extra cars that are not for business, you don't give zakat on them. You have paintings around the house. You have the names of Allah, big, expensive chandelier, and all these things. You don't got to give zakat on them. Gaming consoles, board games, and if you're a businessman, business essentials. Yani all the tools, all the saman that you need for your business, you need them for your business. The inventory gives zakat. That'll be part of the zakatable assets because the intention is for business sale. So that this is not some of non-zakatable. Anything besides is non-zakatable. I'll just give you a few examples. Now, what is nisab? Let's talk about nisab. Nisab, zakat threshold, minimum amount. Is that amount that Shariat has stipulated for paying zakat? But look at note number 2 real quick. Go to note number 2 first. When you are calculating your nisab, right, you have to exclude your essential needs. You have to exclude your essential needs, such as utility, food, shelter, vehicles of need, and all tools and instruments by a business. So you got to exclude whatever is needed, whether it's the shelter, whatever food it is, you got to exclude that. And then you think if you're a sahib in nisab or not. So now let's come back on top. Is the amount the Shariat has stipulated for paying zakat. And then we calculate this using 2 nisabs. How do you calculate your nisab? There's 2 amounts that the Shariat has given us. One is the silver nisab, one is the gold nisab. Silver is 612.36 grams, or you give the equivalence of that in cash, which is today 1,678. And then you have gold nisab, 87.46 grams. And then the equivalent of that today is 13,740 because the prices are rising. Now the thing is, if you possess mixed assets, like you have cash, you have gold, you have silver, you have money, and etc., these mixed assets together, then what you do is you use, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many scholars, you use gold nisab. You have heard silver nisab until now. If you want to follow that, feel free to follow that. That means you'll become sahib in nisab immediately. You'll become sahib in nisab, a possessor of nisab immediately. So let's say the kid started working. He started working, got his first job. And then Ramadan came, he started working. Fine. And then Ramadan came, so he started working. And then in the month of Ramadan, he ends up through gifts or through his first paycheck and through Eid money, he ends up getting gold nisab is the stand. I'm following gold nisab. He ends up getting $13,748 in his hand, but it's beyond his basic needs. The money that he has minus his basic needs. So let's say his monthly, he pays his phone bill, he gave whatever. This kid who started working and he got all these gifts of money, he has $13,748, assuming $14,000. Beyond his basic needs, he needs to mark this on the calendar. So Ramadan 2026, I became Sahib Nisab. Next year, when Ramadan comes, he has minimum this much money or more. So let's say next Ramadan came, he has $30,000 on that date of Ramadan 2027. He has $20,000. Or he has, again, on that $14,000, but it's more than the nisab, then that person has to give zakat. 1 year has passed on it. This is for a person who's freshly entering into zakat, becoming sahib nisab. Majority of us, we're sahib nisab. We have enough money, alhamdulillah. If you possess, we just did that. Let's say you don't have, if you possess cash only, you use gold nisab. Again, I mentioned you use gold nisab. Here's calculating nisab. So the day you own the nisab amount, mark that Islamic date. Let's say January, you mark it. January equals, let's say Sha'ban. Sha'ban came, 1st of Sha'ban or mid Sha'ban 15, Laylatul Bara'a, you became Sahib Nisab, mark it on the calendar. Then it makes no difference whether the wealth increases or decreases throughout the year. So let's say Sha'ban, the 1st, I got the Nisab. How much was the Nisab? We're following the gold one, it was around $14,000, right? Or that amount that we mentioned in terms. So what you do is you first put it, it's easy. You go to the gold sellers, or you put it on Google, there's websites. You go 87.46 grams of gold, and then you get the pricing of it. Or you go to, for example, Islamic Masjid's website or Sharia board websites, they will tell you the equivalent of that amount, which is 13,000, 14,000. So it makes no difference if that increases or decreases mid-year. But once that Sha'ban comes again, because 12 months are done, then so long as this person has that amount of money, then that person will be considered Sahib Nisab and he has to give zakat on that money, 2.5%. This is a Sahib Nisab. For people who have Nisab, let's say go bankrupt, total zero, their Nisab breaks. When that month, and then 1 year from that month, zakat. So this is pretty much starting when you give zakat. Majority of us, we know which month we became which money. If you don't know, then we've been calculating from Ramadan to Ramadan, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that from us, no problem. We have now, let's talk about debts. You have short-term debts, and that's what I have to pay within a year. So I gave, let's say, Mr. Zaid, I gave him $20,000, and I have to, actually, I took him $20,000. And then I have to pay him back in 2 months, less than a year. Now let's say my zakat month comes before that. I can take that $20,000 and subtract it from my total zakatable assets. So let's say I have $50,000 in cash, $10,000 in my accounts, and in total $100,000. But it's a short-term loan that I have. I pay this person in 2 months or in. So it has to be. And subtract my total, 100,000, and that will leave me with $80,000, and I give zakat on $80,000. However, if it's long term, which it happens in 2 ways, either this rarely happens, but let's say you borrow money from your friend and he says you can pay him back in 15 years. Nowadays, there's another issue where we work on mortgages. We take loans from Islamic banks, or now some of us from non-Islamic banks, conventional banks, whatever the case is, but we pay mortgages. Mortgages is actually a debt, a loan that we have taken. And modern society is designed in such a way, you live a life full of debts. When you become 60, 65, then you have paid off all of your debts. The ulama have mentioned, because you pay them in installments, and the person is not mutalab. Mutalab means he's not demanded to pay them immediately, but he has to pay them in installments. So let's say for 15 years he has to pay 12 installments per year, now so X amount of installments. A person can deduct 12 installments because that falls under short-term loans, 12 installments of his mortgage payments. When I say mortgage payments, I'm saying excluding taxes, not taxes, not school taxes and property taxes. That's just taxes you got to pay. You can deduct that maybe for 1 month because that's your expense of that month. But mortgage amount, the amount that you owe bank. Like you say, if you have the Islamic banking, usually around, let's say if your mortgage is $6,000, from there 4,000 or 3.5 goes to your loan payment. The remaining is all taxes and whatnot fees. So not that. The actual amount that goes to your loan, you can deduct that amount for 12 months. You can do that when even car payments. So let's say not lease, no lease. Lease, you're not taking a loan. You finance a car, 0% APR, no monthly interest on it, or you whatever the case is. Right now, for year one, the payments are $1,000 a month. So you can take 12,000 and subtract that also from your zakatable assets. Not leased cars, financed cars. Open up Q&A at the ending. On loans you give people. Simple terms, help, and I give him $50,000 down payment for his house, for example. Or one of the person comes to the Imam Sahib, so they come up, Imam Sahib, let me get a loan, and I end up giving him a loan. Because Imam Sahib is kind-hearted, even if he doesn't have, he'll borrow from someone else. I'm just making that up. So whatever the case is, I gave you a loan, right, of $50,000. That is also part of your zakatable asset. You have to include that amount within your zakat money. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, the person who gives you a loan, when you're paying them back as a gift and appreciation, give them something extra. It's not riba. Riba is when I make it a condition. Riba, interest, sood is when I make it a condition that I'll give you $100,000, you got to give me $150,000 back in 10 years. Or you got to give it next year. That's riba. But if it's not a condition, the Prophet said, out of kindness and courtesy, the guy who lended you $100,000 with 0% APR, no interest rate, at the ending, give it on time, number one. And number two, give him a little bit more. Because he had to pay zakat on it, even though he gave it to you. That's his wealth. It's his wealth. He's going to get it back, zakatable assets. However, we have cases because we live in zamana where people are not really imandar. People are really they're like thieves, you know. When it comes to money in business, they become okay, let me not say non-Muslims. Some people might cut me out and give fatwa against me that this guy is doing takfir of people. So then he's like, what loan did you give me? He has no proof. You have no proof to prove it. And it's something that he's denying. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Shariat allows us to not include that as part of our zakatable assets. So as if it doesn't exist. That money pretty much you're not going to get. When something you don't get, you don't include part of your zakatable assets. You guys understand? So over here, however, if the creditor doesn't have any hope in receiving his money from the debtor, then it is not zakatable. No, or it can be that he just that he can't give you. That's how that situation. That money you lended him because you have no hope he'll pay you back. Sometimes you have to send money to, let's say, your father sends it or you send it to your brother overseas. It's everything for more whatever the situation can also not be established in the court of law, whether it's the court of law here or in Islamic state, Islamic courts, then it is not subject to zakat as well. That's regarding loans that we give out. Now let's think about how do we calculate our zakat. Savings, you look at your savings, you look at cash. Like let's say I have to give zakat in Ramadan, right? So Ramadan first, my 1 year is complete. I'll have to look at my cash amount, whatever cash I have. I have to look at my checking account, whatever I have in my bank account, whether it's in the savings, whether it's in the checking account. And then I look at my business account, whatever money I have there saved up. And then I look at zakatable properties and business goods and etc. These things, they're not zakatable. So how do you do that? You guys know better. I don't invest in stocks. Where you get a sheet from that company and then you see and work out the number of the receivables, the cash and the income and whatnot, and you take the percentage of that and you give zakat based on that. So not the exact amount. If you don't know, then you just, to be safe, take whatever number you see and you give zakat based on that. So let's say my stocks are worth $20,000, and I know that from this 10,000, or the percentage at 50%, or usually like 80%, 70%, it is on companies because of its buildings that it owns, essential it has, and not just the and the cash and the inventory that he has. The inventory and stuff, it's 30%, assuming, then that means I have to give 30% of that. No, I can't figure this out. So just to be safe, count the entire $10,000 as your zakatable value of stocks. Then you have gold and silver. Usually we don't have gold, but our spouses have gold. They have to give zakat on their own. But what Islam wants us, that we liberate our sisters from the shackles of liberalism, and that is we put them out there in the market and they do. So Islam frees them from this. So I mean, if that's what we're following, then you as a man of the house, if you can't pay zakat, instead of selling her gold, you got to pay for her zakat. But if she's working and she has her own money, then I'm just giving advice. But at the end of the day, legally speaking, Shari'i speaking, girl will have to give her own zakat. The husband has to give. But if the husband wants, he can give zakat on behalf of his spouse. He can do that. I can give zakat on behalf of you also, but I won't. But I won't, So, but we need to seek permission. You have to do permission, seek permission from one another. You can give zakat on behalf of your spouses. Or else the wife has to give her own zakat. So that's that. Then you look at your 401k, whatever amount you have on your 401k. Yes, you give zakat on 401k. Some people get emotional over here. They say, but I don't got access. The government's going to charge me this fees. They're going to charge me taxes. If I give you my money right now, I give it to my Chacha Jan. I'm like, Chacha Ji, take my $50,000. Chacha is like, I will not give back your money to you unless you're 50. And if you take your money back from me, I'll give you only half of it. Well, too bad. That's the choice I made. Chacha Ji took my money and I just got to stay quiet. Let the Chacha Ji use it until that time comes, or unless I can steal it back from him, which is not technically stealing. I will just take back my wealth, but you can't even do that with this 401k. So you still have to give zakat on your 401k. I'll take questions. It's just Q&A session. So you take your vested amount, the amount is vested, and it is considered to be part of. So you guys know what that is, vested amount, and you include that part of your zakatable assets. You look at the recent business inventory. Let's say you have businesses and you have things that you're going to sell within your business. Whatever is there for you to sell, you include that part of your zakatable assets. Yeah, you guys understand? So whatever is there for you to sell. So let's say I'm selling meat. I have to include my meat and I can get all the pricing of it. But like the truck that I deliver with, that's not for my business. That's the essential of my business to deliver. That truck I don't give zakat on. That'll be a lot of money. But it's just the meat inside that I have to, or the inventory that I have to give zakat on. Like let's say I have a cell phone restaurant. I have a cell phone business, and I'm selling cell phones. Now within my business, I have computers, I have printers. I don't got to give zakat on that. It's whatever stock that I have for business, I have to give zakat on the market price of it. Retail price, not the wholesale price, retail price. Any the price that is there in market for you to sell. Not the price you put. So let's say you're ripping off people, you don't give zakat on that price. Or you put triple the amount of price, not that. Just in the market, what is the price of that? You make that part of your zakatable assets. Then keep another thing in mind. Let's say you have property and you purchased it with the intention of fixing it and selling it immediately. Well, you have to include that entire $1 million. Let's say the property is worth $1 million. You have to include that. You're like, but I can't give the zakat immediately. It doesn't matter. Sell it, then give the zakat of it. You understand? Unless your property is there for long-term investment and you gave it out for lease, then you don't include the value of that property because it's not for business, even though you're taking benefit from it. Then you have debts owed to you. You have to include this. Like any people owe me money. right? Like I gave you loans and you have to pay me back. I have to include that part of my zakatable assets. Then short-term debts, subtract 12 months of mortgages and car payments. Car payments, I told you, not least, financed. And then you subtract that month of expense. So whether it's utility bills, your food bill, whatever that is. And then if your business, the wages that you're going to give, then that's possible and a short. Whether it's your brother, whether it is someone in Pakistan, whether it's your brother, whether it is someone in Pakistan, whether it's someone here, whether it's a yateen, whether it's a widow, whoever it is, so long as they're poor. Whether it's a person, because when a person has more debts than the money he has, he's considered poor technically, because all that money that he has to go to the person he owes. So that's the idea is there is Ahmad has no money. Ahmad has no money. He technically he doesn't have to give zakat because he has assets. Ahmad has watch. It's not zakat. Is zakat? No, it's not. And $20,000 Rolex watch or something. Ahmad cannot receive zakat from when it comes to non-zakatable, he has non-zakatable items are equivalent to the nisab amount or more than the nisab amount. So Ahmad doesn't give zakat, nor can Ahmad receive zakat. Zakat can only be received by technical poor person, which Shariat says he doesn't have the nisab amount in zakatable goods as well as extra non-zakatable goods. You guys understood that? I'll give another example. Let's say you have Zayd. Zayd doesn't have any business, nothing. He has no money, no cash, no nothing. He doesn't have to give zakat. However, Zayd has inherited a property from his father. The qimat of the property is $100,000. Can you give Zayd zakat? You cannot give him zakat. Does he have to give zakat? No, he cannot take zakat. He cannot, because he doesn't have anything. That property is not for business. He just has a property there. He doesn't give zakat. It's not zakat. It's not zakatable assets. However, since Zayd, to be considered a poor person or a recipient of zakat, a person who can take zakat, you need to not have the minimum nisab from whatever extra wealth you have or whatever extra goods you have. You guys understood? So let's say he has, for example, Zayd has 20 laptops. And nothing else. 20 laptops are worth $20,000. Does he give zakat? Because those laptops are no. But can you give him zakat? You cannot give him zakat because he doesn't fall under the definition of poor because he has 20 laptops. You guys understood? This is a big differentiating factor that we need to understand. So like right now, let's say there's a kid here. He has nothing, not even these type of extra stuff. He comes from a rich family, but this kid doesn't have his baligh, he has nothing. Can you technically give him zakat? Let's say he doesn't even have goods, non-zakatable goods, equivalent to nisab. He doesn't even have that. Can you give him zakat? Even though his father is a millionaire, but he's baligh, you can technically give him zakat. But should we give him zakat? Let's say I have Ahmad over here. Ahmad became baligh. Ahmad is 20 years of age. Ahmad has no money to give zakat. He doesn't have $100,000. In total, his 5,000 is equal to nisab. One is, should you give it to him? That's a different story. You wouldn't give it to him because his father is rich, his father will take care of him in the future. You rather give to someone who has a more need than Ahmad. You guys understood this? This is something to understand. You can ask me for further clarification during Q&A. So I'm going to skip that because we don't need to go over that. Now let me give you a practical example. Take out your phones. Take out your phones. Take out the calculator. Some of you guys don't need your phones. TikTok and texting. Let's do this. I want you to look at this more. There's someone more. Ramadan. What residence means? He lives in the house. 500K. So now you have what I told. Look, this is what figure out what is zakatable what is not zakatable, and what are subtractable. Three things: zakatable assets, zakatable, remove not zakatable, zakatable. Subtractions, like what can you subtract? Remember we talked about the loan thing? You know, if I owe you too much money, short-term loans, and then you subtract that from his total, total zakatable assets, the number you get, you do 2.5% of that. Home of residence, 500K. Furniture in the house, $20,000. 3 cars he has, not for business, just 3 cars he has, 100K. Property given for lease, I'm adding keywords, 500K. The property is worth 500K. Cash, 50K. Gold, 50K. Crypto, 10K. Stocks, 40K. Xbox and PlayStation equal to 1,200. The watch that he has is $20,000. 10 pairs of shoes equals 5,000. It's beyond 10 pairs is beyond your need. You have 2 pairs is more than your need. You know, depends on where you live in society you're in. So 10 is definitely not your need. Most likely 6. So whatever the case is, he has extra 10 pairs, which is equivalent to $5,000. Loans given out. He gave other people $50,000 loan, and he has a mortgage of, not taxes, like the actual mortgage amount, loan amount is 5K. He owes Aji Paratawala. So that's just the name that I was thinking of. Paratawala. He owes him 60. He has to pay Haji Paratawala $60,000 in 2 months. And after the month of Ramadan, he has to give him $60,000. Now find out what is zakat, zakatable assets, wealth, and then keep that on one side. Remove non-zakatable assets, and then so go to what you can subtract, like loans and stuff. You can subtract that, and then you'll get a number, and then you do 2.5% of that. Should I give you the answer? Everyone is done? Is everyone done? You tell me, is home of residence zakatable asset? Say loudly. No. Is the furniture in my house zakatable asset? No, these are needs, and these are just items that are not for business. 3 cars that I have, are they zakatable? No, because it's not for business. Is the property given for lease, is it zakatable? No, it's a long-term investment. The money I get will be included in the cash or the bank account. So that's, anyway, so that's not. 401k zakatable? Yes. Cash is zakatable? Gold is zakatable? Crypto is zakatable? Stocks? Let's say the zakatable stock number is 40K. According to his shares, zakatable stock number. Xbox and PlayStation zakatable? It's not for business. It's just something for fun. Is the watch that he has, mashallah, $20,000? Is that zakatable? No, it's not for business. 10%? No, it's not. These are called non-zakatable. We don't count them. Loans given out. Yani, I gave someone 50,000. Is that zakatable? Yes. Mortgage is what? Is it deductable? Is it deductible? And how much is the mortgage? Not 5,000. We said up until 12 months. That's how much? $60,000. Wah. Everyone is happy now. $60,000. Aji Paratawala, I have to owe him 60,000. Is this deductible? Of course it's deductible, because it's a short-term loan. I must give within 2 months. The guy will come after me. So that's called that's deductible from my zakatable assets. What's the total number, guys? Here's the number. What's the total number? $300,000 is all the cash and money that I have. It's not zakatable yet. Wait, $300,000. Wait. Take this, now do the subtractions. Mortgages, $60,000 for the year, right? You subtract that from $300,000, as well as what you owe Aji Paratawala in 2 months. You have to subtract that as well. Maybe he wants to buy. Paratawala usually is because it's business. You know, there's Panwala, Paratawala, Topiwala, Dudwala. So you have Paratawala. He needs his money back for his paratas. Then you subtract the deductibles. In total, you have $180,000 that are zakatable, 2.5% of that, and your zakat is $4,500, and you can give it to a poor person who's in need, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We're done. Yes.
money in a 401k and invested by the bank on my behalf. If I want to take out the money, the tax was not paid a penny yet.
Yeah.
So if I want to figure out the total amount of zakat from that money, do I have to subtract the tax that I owe to the
If you
federal and the
ex-
state?
yearly basis, no, but when you actually extract the money and they do remove the tax, then of course you minus that. And there is a difference of opinion here. Well, this is not something that is like to subtract tax amount every single year. It's not a liability yet. It's not an actual liability. Some scholars or some people they say that oh you can subtract that amount also from it. However, I don't think that's authentic. Whatever you guys want to follow, but you can't subtract the tax happens and you withdraw the money. That's a different thing. Then of course whatever you get is going to be minus anyway. So then whatever you get in your hand, unless you reach the age lesson. Yes.
You have 1,080, 1,800K, and you give 1.5,
2.5.
1.5, about 1.5% of your money. How much will you should give every single month?
MashaAllah. Very good question. I'm going to give this to you for homework. You and your brother, you both sit down, take a chart, and show your work. How much zakat to give every month. MashaAllah. Huh? 375, he said. Maybe he means 4,500 divided by 12. Maybe that's what he means. That's what he's saying. See? I understood him immediately. He's our student, so we know. Then you can give him monthly, no problem. But do this for me, 4,500 divided by 12. Let's give him that. 375. So if you can't give it one shot, you do it a monthly plan. You make this plan with Allah. Allah will allow you, and you give this much amount on a monthly basis. Another question.
You have $100 and you give 2.5% of
You have to answer in your math class. Do you have to give cash, or you can give equivalent amount in maybe kurta, or maybe in blankets, or maybe in food? The answer is yes, you can. But it has to be equivalent amount in market. So let's say I have to give 4,000 in cash in zakat. I can do that, or I can buy like let's say blankets worth $4,500, and I can give them out to the poor. But the thing, oh, I forgot to mention one thing. I don't know if it came here. You see this? Yeah, I didn't go over this. You have to give ownership to the poor person. You have to give them the ownership of whatever zakat you're given, whether it's wheat, whether it's food, whether the time of the Prophet they'll give zakat as in like food objects. Like they'll give it in dates, or they'll give it in this, and they give it in that. They didn't have to be gold and silver. Because in sense, so you can do that. But you have to do tamlik. Tamlik means complete ownership. Like you gotta give him the ownership, as well as you cannot. Oh, zakat cannot be. Oh, yeah, it's missing here. So you cannot give it to your ascendants and descendants. Yani ascendants, father and grandfathers, as well as your descendants, your kids and grandkids. You cannot give them zakat. Nor can you give this. What's missing here is you cannot give zakat to your spouse. And the husband is like, you know what, let me just give it to my wife. And the wife is like, let me give it to my husband. What a beautiful, happily married couples, mashallah. Because you can't do that also, it's not allowed. So zakat cannot be given to one's spouses, is missing there.
You said that we can take the tax out, like the tax we pay for the property can be subtracted.
That's only for that month. Whether it's like $300, $1,000 school tax and property tax of that month only, because this is not a loan. Mortgage is a loan. Whatever loan you took, that's the short-term loan that you can just subtract. Yes,
If I know I have to pay zakat,
exactly.
in this example, 4,500, but it's 2 months before Ramadan, so Ramadan hasn't completed, the 12 months hasn't completed, but I know around Ramadan I have to pay this amount. So, but 2 months before, somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, I'm very poor, I'm very hungry. Can you give me money?" Can I give that money as a prepayment of this zakat?
Definitely, you can. You can give zakat early. Let's say someone comes to you with great need, and you know by the end of Ramadan, I'm going to have to give 4,000. But then when Ramadan actually comes, you have to recalculate, make sure it's the exact amount. Yeah. So if it's, let's say you have to give 5,000. One. Let's say you're listen to this final point, and I'm done, inshallah. We can eat whatever is there. One final point. This will benefit you guys. Let's say your family member, you know, like your brother back home or your uncle back home, not your father, your uncle or some relative is extremely that. He's a, does not al-ghira means this manly religiosity that he has, doesn't allow him to accept zakat. And you know because you did your research. Give him zakat money, but don't tell him it's zakat. You can give him zakat money, don't tell him it's zakat. But you have to do your research. You cannot assume. You really have to do you should be sure, yaqeen hai, he doesn't have zakat eligible. You can give him the zakat. You don't even need to tell him that this is zakat. Yes, so the earlier you give, the better. No, it's fine. Because once it becomes due on you, your job is to actively give it. If it takes you 1 week to send it over, 3 weeks to send it over, that's fine. Sending it and giving it. Khair. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Jazakumullah khairan. I tried making it as short as possible, and I think I did that.